Claude Opus 5 catches only 55.2% of bugs versus a 61.1% baseline, and users on the $200 plan report burning through more than $1,000 in extra credits just to stay productive. 0 out of 5 claims hold up clean. Claude Opus 5 is everywhere right now, and the $200 plan is a real decision for a lot of people. I'm testing its 5 boldest claims to see which actually hold up. What I found is that where you use Claude matters way more than how good it is, and that changes the whole $200 decision. My name is Brian, and I'm in these tools 12 hours a day, so you don't have to be. Every number in this review got traced back to sources the company and its users will actually stand behind. This one's for developers and teams deciding whether $200 a month for Opus 5 is worth it for daily coding and research work. Claim 1, the $200 plan is enough for serious coding work. So you're mid-sprint, you've got 40 open pull requests, and Claude just stops responding because you hit a daily limit. You're not getting a refund, you're buying more credits. That's the failure mode this claim is really making a promise about, and it's a costly one if it's hype. I looked everywhere for official usage limit data, and I couldn't find any. What I did find was community reports, and they're not pretty. Users say they're hitting daily limits several times a day on the $200 plan and burning through more than $1,000 in extra credits. The caveat is that Anthropic hasn't put any official figures out there, so the community numbers are all we've got to go on. The gap here might look scarier than it is because we don't actually know what the real limits are. Usage patterns vary a lot depending on your workflow, how long your prompts run, and what kind of tasks you're throwing at it. A light user and a heavy coder are going to hit very different walls, which makes this one genuinely hard to call without your own numbers. This claim is unverifiable. I went looking for at least some official data from Anthropic, and what I got was silence plus a pile of frustrated community posts. No confirmed numbers means no confirmed verdict, and that puts us at 0 out of 1 claims, holding up with one unverifiable result on the board, and the rest of the tests still to come. Claim 2, Opus 5 is a top-tier code reviewer. The number that matters here is 61.1%, because that's the bug catch rate you need to beat. Miss more than that and you're shipping bugs. Opus 5 walked right past, and a PR review tool that's precise but low on recall gives you false confidence in code that costs real money. What surprised me here is that Opus 5 actually beats the baseline on actionable comment precision, 39.3% versus 35.2%. So more of what it flags is worth fixing. But flip it around and you see the trade-off. It only caught 55.2% of known bugs versus 61.1% for the baseline, and it's reportedly generating about 4 times more nitpicks. So the signal is there, it's just buried. These are CodeRabbit's evaluation numbers, not my own lab setup. Partially true. Opus 5 is genuinely more precise on actionable comments, and that part of the claim holds. But the recall number, 55.2% versus 61.1%, means it misses more real bugs than the baseline does, so the full claim doesn't land. That's 0 out of 2 claims fully holding up, 2 partially true, and the pattern is starting to look pretty consistent. Claim 3. Opus 5 works well as an autonomous agent. The day your orchestration setup breaks down because your model can't coordinate a multi-step workflow, you're not just losing time, you're debugging agent failures instead of shipping product. And if Opus 5 can't manage global state or talk to humans in a loop without going sideways, the autonomous agent pitch falls apart fast. Okay, so what I found here is genuinely split. As a sub-agent with clear, checkable goals, Opus 5 is described as extremely good when left alone for hours, and that part checks out. But put it in the coordinator seat or ask it to interact with a human in real time, and users describe it as horrible at talking to humans. Timid, apologetic, and prone to making lists for people instead of just deciding. These are community-reported findings, not a controlled benchmark. Partially true again. The autonomous coding pitch is so central to Opus 5's whole identity that I thought this would be a cleaner win. But the interactive side really does fall apart. It's a specialist, not a generalist, strong as a worker and weak as a manager, which moves us to 0 out of 3 claims fully holding up with 3 partially true results across the board so far. So we've got a model that's precise but not reliable, autonomous but not conversational. The two tests still ahead are the ones that decide whether you can actually trust what Opus 5 tells you day to day, and whether reading its output is even worth your time, and those answers change the whole $200 math. So stick around. Claim 4, Claude hallucinates less than most alternatives. So you ask Opus 5 for a specific API version number, or a citation for a stat you're putting in a report. It gives you one confidently, and it's wrong, you ship the report, someone catches it, and now you're the person who let an AI make stuff up and didn't check. That's the real cost of a model that sounds certain when it isn't. What I looked at here is a mixed picture. The vendor claim is that Claude hallucinates less than most alternatives, and that part is probably true. It's more likely to say it doesn't know than to just make something up. But the community finding is that it's still not reliable for specific facts, citations, or stats, and it can state wrong numbers with total confidence. So the frequency is lower, but the risk isn't gone. And that's an important distinction. Partially true. The claim that it hallucinates less than most holds up on frequency, but the practical reliability for specific facts does not. And you still have to verify everything it tells you. That's 4 claims tested now, 0 fully holding up, 4 partially true, and the pattern is a model that's better than average in a narrow way, but not trustworthy in the way the claim implies. Claim 5, Opus 5, gives you clear, useful output. The failure mode here is, you ask a simple question, you get 800 words back, and the actual answer is buried somewhere in paragraph 4, so you spend more time reading than you would have spent just figuring it out yourself. And at scale across a whole team using this every day. That's a real productivity drain that doesn't show up in any benchmark. All right, so what I found across community reports is pretty consistent. Users describe Opus 5 as excessively verbose, full of hedging, apologies, and unnecessary adjectives. One person said it vomits text and smatters signal everywhere, and another said, reading it stresses me the heck out. There's no official metric here, so I can't give you a word count comparison, but the volume and consistency of these complaints is hard to ignore. This one is unverifiable on hard numbers, but the community signal is strong enough to flag. There's no official clarity metric, so I can't score it clean, but the verbosity complaint is real, widespread, and consistent enough to matter. That wraps all 5 claims. 0, fully holding up. 5, partially true or unverifiable across the board. Okay, so here's where Claude genuinely earns its money. Code review precision comes in at 39.3%, actionable comments versus 35.2% for the baseline, so more of what it flags is actually worth your time. Autonomous work is a real strength too. When you give it clear, checkable goals and leave it alone for hours, it's extremely good. And hallucination frequency is lower than most alternatives, so it's more likely to admit uncertainty than to just make something up. Now here's where Claude falls short, and I'm not going to soften this. Bug recall is only 55.2% versus a 61.1% baseline, so it misses more real issues than it should. Interactive communication is described as horrible, timid, and apologetic, which makes it a poor fit for any back-and-forth workflow. And the verbosity problem is real. It buries the signal under so much text that users report it actively stresses them out. 0 out of 5 claims fully held up, and honestly that number surprised me. But it doesn't mean skip it, it means use it right. Worth it if you need a specialist for autonomous code review and deep analysis where you can let it run for hours. Skip it if you want a reliable daily driver for conversation, quick answers, or anything interactive. 55% bug recall is the number you need to remember, because that gap is exactly why this is a specialist tool and not a generalist one. If you're wondering how Claude Code stacks up against a free local option, I ran exactly that test. Go watch Alima versus Claude Code, Can Free Local Keep Up? It's the next logical question after this one, and the answer is probably not what you'd expect.